one of the things that I think is the biggest hurdle for a lot of advisors that start to have a level of success is they have to transition from financial advisor, me, it's all on my shoulders, to business owner slash CEO. Now I have to grow and empower a team, very different skill set that takes people skills and self-awareness. And that for some is a pretty rough transition. It's a new learned skills that they just haven't used up to that point. So if you were going to give this hypothetical financial advisor that wants to now become business owner, grow a small team, maybe 5, 10, 15, what would be some ways that you start to look through the Enneagram lens to assist that journey?
Yeah. Well, let me just give one piece of advice that's just in general. And that is when an organization grows, anxiety mounts, and as environments get more and more difficult, let's say the market environments get more and more difficult, anxiety grows. And the tendency is in those situations is to micromanage. Like your first tendency is going to be, I have to get down in the weeds because it's sort of a panic response, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully if you have the right team in place, I always encourage leaders, resist that temptation. Got the right team in place. If you got a COO, whatever is in place, just try not to go back to the same level of micromanagement that you're used to in those moments. Try to stay up top, on the thing, because, it's the same principle on a boat. In a storm, you don't want someone not in the helm, right? You know what I mean? Like someone's got to be high enough up while the rest of the ship is doing their job and not to get down into the weeds and start rowing and doing the knots. I mean, that's something I've seen, a problem that happens over and over again to people. I don't know how your organizations are structured, but that's certainly true in corporate settings, with over larger organizations where someone's in that role. I would say that as that transition gets made, this is where self-awareness really, really is terrifically helpful. It's the ability to self-observe, right? Like a lot of people just go through the day not observing themselves at all. They're just like on autopilot, running on the same old patterns and that either worked or didn't work for a long time. And this is a tricky transition, I think, for certain types. We were talking earlier, we think that in your industry, you're going to meet a lot of 3s, performers, you're going to meet a lot of 7s, the enthusiasts, and you're going to meet a lot of 8s, the challengers. Now, this is not going to be as hard for 3s, right? 3s actually make very good CEOs. They have some risk aversion, right? So they don't upset everybody in the ecosystem, too much with new ideas that scare everybody, right? And they're pretty good at managing people. For example, Hyatt, Mike is a 3, strong 3.
Yep.
Right? And he's fantastic in these sorts of situations, right? The other is, 8s. 8s have to be careful about being autocrats. That they can be, they have to be very observing about rolling and bowling through people's lives, being impulsive decision makers. That can work early in the phase of an organization, but when it gets bigger and requires management, it doesn't work. Like, there are studies that those types of leaders, challenger type leaders, work very well in the short term, but if you maintain it over the long haul, it goes like that, right? The benefit is only good for a very set period of time. Interestingly, very self-aware leaders have this ability, right? But
yeah,
the guy bullies in or the woman that bullies in is going to go, they're going to tank after, it's going to be a very short-lived win. 7s, oh boy, it can be problematic for some of them because they're not necessarily typically, it's hard for 7s to be managers in some ways. They are amazing entrepreneurs. In those first 3 to 5 years, you cannot beat them. No one can get in a whiteboard and make more stuff happen. They're charismatic. They are energized. They're the first person you want to see when you walk in the office in the morning. They are just inspiring. They are so optimistic, and they believe that anything is possible and everyone is willing to follow them. Amazing leaders, right? In my experience, particularly in those first 3 to 5 years of an organization's life cycle, but the moment it starts to head into management, Sometimes sevens need a little help alongside of them, right? To continue to do stuff because the problem for some sevens is that there's routine. If it starts to turn into routine, that's a big problem, right? If they start to feel stuck, that's a problem. If they get bored, that's a problem. They have to just,
Hey, guilty.
I know. And so if there are ways to work with this, right? But the self-awareness you need, right, as you make these transitions is super important. Like to always ask the question in the hallway between two open doors, what does this mean for me now? Right? Who will I have to be in this moment to meet the requirements of leadership? Because it's a different moment. And not to assume that what worked in the stage one is going to work in stage two. It probably won't.